consume it affects our health and that of our planet.
Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers.
A Safe Carnival for All is the name of the Carnival 2022 COVID Safety Plan that was launched by the St. Martin Carnival Development Foundation, SCDF, on Thursday. President of the foundation, Alston Lawrence, explained that the foundation spent months putting together the plan, which builds on SCDF's existing Carnival COVID plan, which was set out to be enforced if there was a Carnival 2021 festival. As the event was also cancelled, the foundation used the past few months to study the successful templates of international festivals that were successfully held over the summer of 2021. In doing so, some operational initiatives came to light that could be adjusted to St. Martin Carnival, in particular how festivals were structured around the availability of vaccines. The foundation has presented its plan to Minister of Public Health Omar Otley and Minister of Tourism and Economic Affairs Roger Lawrence. Otley specifically commended the foundation for the plan and noted that he and his team view protocols as fluid regulations that can change and adjust at a moment's notice. Lawrence explained that the Minister and Collective Prevention Services, a department in the Ministry of Public Health, will always have the opportunity to advise and suggest changes to the presented Carnival Safety Plan. We have worked long and hard on this plan because we are confident that with the presence of the vaccine, effective testing, and other operational protocols, we could have a safe and fun Carnival 2022. It will boil down to personal responsibility and strict adherence to rules and regulations, Lawrence said. We have put in place a range of measures to make the St. Martin Carnival experience as COVID safe as possible. We understand that this is an unprecedented time, and although we feel safe and secure that we've provided an environment where our patrons will be safely able to enjoy Carnival, we also understand the mental stress and fear associated with the pandemic. As such, we have added more measures to our existing and extensive COVID-19 plan, Lawrence said. In related news, nightlife business owners will soon be able to keep their doors open much later in St. Martin. This follows a meeting with the Ministers of Tourism and Economic Affairs and Public Health on protocols and business closing hours moving forward. During discussions, both ministers agreed to extend the hours of nightlife for businesses to 1 a.m. The extension went into effect on October 15th, leading into 1 a.m. on October 16th. The ministers stressed the importance of health protocols and thorough screening, which will require people to show proof of being fully vaccinated or having proof of a negative COVID-19 test result in order to enter establishments. The business owners were given the opportunity to get their health pass procedures established within short. This health pass will be strictly enforced as of October 22nd. Strict inspections will be carried out by the inspectors prior to this date at the various establishments to ensure compliance with the health pass procedures. If this health measure proves to be an effective way of ensuring the health and safety of nightlife patrons, both ministries will consider an additional extension of the nightlife hours. The U.S. has said it will reopen its borders to fully vaccinated travelers from 33 countries on November 8, 2021. Under new rules announced by the White House, vaccinated people who have had a negative test in the 72 hours before traveling will be allowed to enter. The move marks the end of the tough restrictions that have been imposed on travelers since early last year. This policy is guided by public health, stringent and consistent, a White House spokesperson said. The new rules will apply to a group of 26 European nations, as well as the UK, Brazil, China, India, Ireland, Iran, and South Africa. The current rules bar entry to most non-US citizens who have been in the UK, China, India, South Africa, Iran, Brazil, or a number of European countries within the last 14 days. However, this policy has caused controversy as passengers from 150 other countries, many of whom have struggled with high rates of COVID-19 infection, have continued to enter the US freely. Officials announced that people who have been jabbed with one of the vaccines that are approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, or have been granted an emergency use listing from the World Health Organization, WHO, will qualify under the system. The emergency use aspect will allow travelers who have received the AstraZeneca jab, widely used in the UK, as well as China's Sinovac and Sinopharm vaccines to enter the country. It was also confirmed that travelers will not be required to go into quarantine upon entering the country. The announcement was swiftly celebrated by would-be travelers across the globe.
Today, the 16th of October, our top story, the killing of the Conservative MP, Sir David Amess, has been declared as a terrorist incident by police.
Sir David was stabbed multiple times during a constituency surgery in Essex yesterday. Officers say they're investigating a potential link to Islamist extremism.
The 25-year-old man remains in custody. Here's our political correspondent, Helen Catt.
In Leigh-on-Sea, worshippers came together in a mass to remember their MP. Sir David Amess had been a Member of Parliament in Essex for 38 years.
Will my right honourable friend join me?
Colleagues described him as a kind man, devoted to his constituency of Southend West.
He made everybody feel valued and he listened. He was a good listener. People felt he represented them in the Houses of Parliament.
He was at his happiest when he was helping people. He was a true servant and an inspiration.
His heart was in his community. He really was. He was the best constituency MP you could ever wish for.
It was there, in the middle of the day, at a different church in Leigh-on-Sea, that he was stabbed multiple times. He'd been holding one of his regular surgeries to meet constituents. Police officers and paramedics tried to save him, but he died at the scene. A 25-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of murder. Last night, police declared it was a terrorist incident.
A tragic day for the family and colleagues of Sir David, the community of Southend, and indeed for the whole of Greater Essex. Sir David has dedicated his life to serving the communities of Essex and Southend, and he was simply dispensing his duties when his life was horrifically cut short.
It was 5 years ago that the Labour MP Jo Cox was murdered in her constituency. The fatal attack on Sir David has raised questions once again about the safety of MPs.
It's so hard because we've got a job to do, and I find myself now, working as a politician and trying to help people and trying to do good things for people, and it's really important that we get good people in public life. But this is the risk that we're all taking, and so many MPs today will be scared by this.
The Speaker of the House of Commons, who went ahead with his own constituency surgery last night, said security measures would need to be looked at.
We've got to make sure the politicians are safe, the people who work for them, the family, the people of the House of Commons. We've seen the terrorist attack there as well. What we won't do, we won't give in to it though. We will continue to ensure that democracy will be there. We've got to make sure we have that relationship with our electors. Well, that's the unique part of British politics. But we've got to make sure MPs are safe.
MPs are expected to be contacted by their local police forces today. The Home Secretary has ordered an immediate review of their security. The flags in Westminster are flying at half-mast for Sir David Amess, as questions are already being asked once again about how to keep his colleagues safe. Helen Catt, BBC News, Westminster.
In a moment, we're going to speak to our political correspondent, Peter Saul, who's in Downing Street for us this morning. But first, let's go to Leigh-on-Sea and speak to Ben Boulos, who's there for us there. And Ben, police have confirmed they're now treating this as a terrorist incident.
Yes, as you say, there is a suspect, a 25-year-old man who is in custody being questioned on suspicion of murder. Police say they are treating it as a terrorist incident, and they speak of a potential motivation linked to Islamist extremism. Now, the fact it's being treated as a terrorist incident means the counter-terrorism command from the Metropolitan Police is leading the investigation. That brings with it huge resources, and right now they'll be scouring digital records, CCTV footage, as well as, we understand, 2 addresses to try and establish the events leading up to yesterday's tragic death of Sir David Amess MP. The reality for people here in Leigh-on-Sea and elsewhere in the constituency is waking up to the reality that the man who's represented them for so long, since 1997, was taken from them in such a brutal way, and the inevitable questions that they will have in mind as they come to terms with their loss.
Indeed. For now, though, Ben, thank you very much indeed.
Well, our political correspondent Peter Saul is in Downing Street for us this morning. Peter, Sir David's death no doubt raising again concerns around the safety of MPs. What's the Home Secretary had to say?
Well, no doubt this death will be at the forefront of the Home Secretary's mind. It'll be at the forefront of all of our elected politicians' minds this morning, as we were hearing there from Leigh-on-Sea, questions for the security services, the intelligence agencies. What was the motivation behind this attack? Police believe that the attacker was acting alone, but more widely, does it mean that MPs are still safe to go about their daily duties? A fundamental part of our democracy, to be able to come face to face with the people that they represent. There will have been hundreds of constituency surgeries going on just yesterday. Now, MPs are being contacted by police forces up and down the country. It's part of what's known as Operation Bridger, which was set up in the wake of the murder of Joe Cox in 2016, so they can put in place shutters and alarms. But it's understood the Home Secretary believes that this is too varied up and down the country, and she wants that to be standardised.
Peter on Downing Street, many thanks, and we will have tributes to Sir David Amess from friends, colleagues and constituents.
This has been the WinFM 98.9 newscast. Let's take another look at our headlines. Minister of Agriculture delivers World Food Day address. A full vaccination at Centre of Extensive Carnival Safety Plan in St. Martin. US to lift travel ban on November 8th. Devon Cornelius, WinFM. Thank you for listening.
That was the WinFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Caribou.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organisation on St Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs, and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
With over a century of perfection behind the Magasin name, A smooth blend with perfect balance and richness. It's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International. By land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
People make the world go
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Gift for Dad's birthday? Click. Ooh, Janice's retirement party? Click. Outfit for my girl's wedding? Click. With TDC Airbox, you click, we ship. Register for your free U.S. mailbox today and shop all your favorite stores online. Enjoy the convenience. Free consolidation up to £10. Competitive rates. Free package tracking account with live notifications. Free delivery and, of course, excellent customer service. Visit our website at tdcairbox.com and register today. For more information, visit our offices at the C.A. Paul Industrial Site in St. Kitts and Penny's Industrial Site in Nevis. Follow us on social media at TDC Airbox. TDC Airbox. You click, we ship. Terms and conditions apply.
Win FM reserves the right to disconnect any caller who infringes the law or offends the right of any person. The station will also refuse to take any call from any person who, in Win FM's considered opinion, is likely to expose the station to liability for statements made on the air.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News on 1FM 98.9. It is 12:24 and we're going to continue this conversation here. We have the St. Kitts Mental Health Association, and representing the association today is Zara Jacobs and Tracy Watley, both of whom are members of the association. For those of you who tuned in late, we are having a discussion on the importance of mental health, and I want you to pay keen attention. So, Ms. Jacobs, we're going to continue where we left off from, and we're going to be speaking about mental health professionals. So I'll allow you to lead on that one.
So when it comes to mental health professionals, there are a variety. Often when people think about the profession, the first thing they go to is a psychiatrist, or like we like to say in St. Kitts, a crazy doctor. So, or if you're more American, a shrink. So the psychiatrist is a medical doctor. They went to medical school, so much like a pediatrician, a surgeon, OBGYN, their specialty was psychiatry. So after they did their general medicine, they focused on people with typically severe mental health issues. That is the person, the only person, at least locally, who can prescribe medication for major psychiatric conditions. Your general medical practitioner can also prescribe antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication, and that's something I like to remind the public of, because sometimes they think that they can only get, if they're going on any kind of medication, they need to go to a psychiatrist, and no, your GP can usually prescribe antidepressants or anxiety medication pretty typically. But those are the medical professionals. For mental health, we have counselors. So those are people who have a master's degree in counseling, in psychology, in social work. With a master's degree, usually after you've done your master's degree, you've done some sort of internship where you've had supervision, where someone is ensuring that you are doing the right thing. Much like how you see doctors when we watch TV shows and students are following the doctors around getting instruction, that's how they're gaining the experience. When you're working in the field as well, there's ongoing supervision. So you're forever staying in contact with your colleagues, and Tracy and I were just talking about this, you're always seeking training opportunities, because just because you went to school in 1982 does not mean that the research is the same in 2021. Tracy gave the perfect example. When we studied virtual counseling, no, that is unsafe. We can't do it. But now, virtual counseling is the rage.
It's a part of the curriculum.
It's an app on your phone. You have an app and you are talking to your therapist all the time. So you really we have a responsibility to stay abreast. I know the National Counseling Center organizes workshops for guidance counselors annually on different topics. Sometimes the presenters are international, sometimes they're local people. We didn't have one last year, no. But the year before, I think the topic was on sexuality. We've had topics on bullying, self-harm, suicide prevention.
Trauma.
Trauma. So professionally, we are always engaged to see what is happening, to keep abreast of things, because things are changing and we want to make sure that we are here to support. So even human resources from Government Human Resource Department put out I would say maybe a call saying that, they're no longer sponsoring degrees in just general business or even general medicine. They're looking for specialties, and some of the specialties that they were looking for were psychiatry, specializations in counseling, forensic counseling, school counseling.
Yes, I saw it and I was like, yeah!
Was it last year, your graduation?
Wow.
There were maybe a dozen people,
12, yes,
a dozen exactly, who graduated with a master's in school counseling, right? We are getting more and more certified. We're getting out there, and I really want to encourage people. If someone says that they're offering mental health services, ask them, what's your training? What's your background? Because there are people who are well-trained, who are happy and ready to serve.
I'm happy that you spoke about that because I heard from I think it was the past Minister of Education, where back then most of the guidance counselors were not really up to date with the training that is being offered today. And so that he was very happy to see that many of them took advantage of the opportunities that were presented. And I did see that some of them were able to graduate as, like certified counselors.
Some of them with a distinction, like those in the studio right now. Congratulations, Miss Wiley.
So I think that's really good because, 10, 15 years ago, it was just guidance counselors or people who perhaps may not have been up to date with the training and all of that. So to see that they're up to date with the training and know what's happening today is really good. Would you say that we need more professionals in this field after your own personal assessment of the situation? Would you say that we need more people in special programs, specializing in different programs?
The challenge with St. Kitts is we are so small. So sometimes a lot of us are afraid to get too special. A lot of us are afraid to get too special because if we are only specializing in ADHD or if we are only specializing in child-friendly things, then we think, how many clients could we possibly have? But what I do encourage, and I do myself, is we can seek training opportunities in special things. So it would be good to see people with more certification in specific things. That's definitely an area that I see that we need to be going. I know there's a lot of interest in forensic psychology. A lot of us watch those procedural crime TV, we watch Law & Order, SVU, Chicago PD, and we're like, oh, I would like to be this person. So I know people are interested in crime. When I talk to a lot of young people, that's their interest. Children and youth, that is an ongoing, that's not going anywhere. A field that is also growing in counseling is geriatric counseling because we are an aging population. People are living longer, and something that does not get talked about a lot are things like Alzheimer's, dementia, and just simply the depression associated with aging for a lot of people. People dismiss older people complaining as, oh, they're just old, but sometimes it's actually depression that they're struggling with because there's a lot of grief associated with aging. So there's so many opportunities for people to seek additional training on top of their academic training, and it is a effort of love.
And I guess, again, it comes on the heels of culture in terms of just how it is that we view, well, on a whole, in terms of psychology. And, the evolution of psychology would have come a long way for us. And if we go back in terms of, it's not even now guidance counselors, it's school counselor. We took the guidance off of it and it's considered school counselor.
Yes. Yes. So school counseling is really because the guidance was really indicating that the person in front of you is the one who has all the answers. Yes. And the school counseling wants to look at the culture of the school as a whole, right? It's not just looking at troubled youth, yes, which was very much how guidance counselors were being described. Well, that was how it became. But now we're looking at how can we influence and enhance the culture of our schools, yes, towards wellness.
Yes. And in terms of even with the school counselor, in terms of, we are on the front line. So we are trained in terms of screening. Yes. That's where we start. We are the screeners, and then if it is that it's something that we can offer support or counseling for, then we do it. And if not, then we refer, because it's really important to refer for persons who need refer them to the clinical counselor who need maybe a change in terms of therapy longer therapy. So that's the hierarchy in terms of, maybe not hierarchy,
but there's a division
as to
of
who
roles.
does what
Yes.
and how and when things do, so that it's not overwhelming and for any one person.
I'm not sure if this is your specialty, but as you spoke about it, what services are there, or what services are being offered to older people who may need help or help with their mental health?
So definitely all the services that are currently that we spoke about, the National Counseling Center, the hospital, people in private practices, the churches, and definitely older people tend to feel more comfortable starting with their doctor. But what we want to encourage people to do is think about acknowledging that mental health is an issue for this population as well. I know there is a seniors group that meets regularly, and the Mental Health Association has done a presentation with them about suicide prevention and depression, because one of the things is that seniors have large access to medication. So they are actually at a greater risk of suicide risk or thinking about suicide just because of this. So the seniors group has been pretty active, and they do a lot of work with that. And the Alzheimer's Association also does a lot of work raising awareness. So it's just also acknowledging, because sometimes we really do focus a lot on young people.
Yes.
And I mean, maybe it's just because I am getting older, but we all are. Just recognizing that different stages of life all need this support.
I just spoke about suicide prevention. Throughout your career, talking to people, would you say that is a common thing that you have had to have a discussion on?
I'll let Tracy answer because she's in the schools, so I know the answer is yes, yes, and yes.
Yes. Suicide ideation, the idea in terms of I want to kill myself, and that happened. Yes, that is something that is common in terms of some of the things that we have to deal with.
Wow. That is, I would say, scary, because again, some people may take it as a joke and be like, I want to kill myself, and you're thinking like, as I said, just looking attention, but
seeking connection.
But it is a serious thing, and it is something that we have to really pay attention to, because you don't want it to get to a situation where it actually happens, and then you're like, I could have done something. And so after dealing with people who may have an idea, or who may be thinking about committing suicide, what steps do you take to get them to not go down that road? I'm not sure if I'm asking the right question, but what do you do when you're dealing with someone who may be having suicidal thoughts?
I guess one of the first things that you have to ascertain is how serious it is. So you have to assess the situation and do a pre-screening to see exactly what stage they are at and how serious it is. That is why, to one of the things, because confidentiality is an issue, persons think that confidentiality is the same as secrecy. So when they come and say things to you like that, they think that you're going to just, because you're supposed to be confidential, mean that you're going to keep it. But then there's the disclaimer that we always put out first. If it is that you're going to tell me you're going to harm yourself or you're going to harm someone else, I have a responsibility to report it and find necessary help for you. So we normally, after the screening and the assessment, if you have to refer and send get them to the JNF hospital, then you go right away and you do that.
Thank you. You want to add something, Ms. Jacobs?
Just generally, one of the things when it comes to suicide is sometimes people are just afraid to ask if that's what the person is thinking. Ask the question. Not asking isn't going to help. If you suspect, ask them. Are you thinking about suicide? And the next question is, do you have a plan?
Yes.
What's your plan? Because what you want to know is, does the person have access to the means that they can do it? Because you really, and I know it sounds like a very real and serious conversation, but the risk is real and serious. So we really want people to encourage them. If you think someone is having these thoughts, ask them a question and get someone involved. Because suicide prevention is not an individual activity. It takes a collective for us to help ensure the wellness.
One of the things that I see coming out more and more now is the self-harming, harming in terms of how persons are actually expressing those big emotions and big feelings that they are having. So they are cutting themselves, and that's something too that we have to screen and assess very early, because they can by mistake cut the wrong place, and so that is something that we need to put there. Then it's not that they want to, this set of persons is not that they want to kill themselves, but they're just trying to release some form of pain, and that too can be very dangerous. So self-harm is something that is, I see, and is on the rise. And
my thesis was actually on self-harm. I came and I did surveys in all the high schools of fourth formers, and 40% of fourth formers indicated that they had done some form of self-harm. 40% is a lot, and you are just seeing it more and more. More young people talk about it. You should look at young people who are wearing long sleeves. A lot of times, if you ask them to push up the sleeves, you're going to see marks on their forearms. But that's not the only place people cut. People sometimes cut on their inner arms, on their thighs, because it's on their stomach. So these are, Tracy is saying it because this is the life of a guidance counselor. You have to be aware of these signs, right? We have to be paying attention to people, because as counselors, when we pay attention to people, we're not just listening with our ears, we're listening with our eyes. We're listening with everything just to get a sense of what's happening with this person. What am I seeing? What am I hearing? And how can we get them to feel a little bit better today?
Mm-hmm. I want to ask about training so you may not be like a qualified mental health professional, but I'm pretty sure we have had instances where somebody is reporting a suicidal attempt to perhaps law enforcement officer, parent, a teacher, just somebody in the community, and they immediately dismiss it. They're like, you're not serious, because that's not our culture. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, it's not our culture, yes. However, you see, that's one of the things that we're going to have to come into grips with in terms of with technology, because then do we have a pure culture now in terms of, because so many things are sneaking in through TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and a little video, maybe 5 minutes, micro, but it says a lot. And you being in the media, you know how the media can put over things, and subconsciously things are happening. So we have to stop saying it's not part of our culture, because it's right there. It's the worldwide, wherever. And we are a world community now, and what happens in St. Kitts is not just about St. Kitts anymore, because I have a friend who is not in St. Kitts, but she's the one who gives me the update of what is happening in St. Kitts. So we are going to have to start reframing how we view what is really our culture, and start looking at these things in terms of dealing with mental health.
I'm happy you mentioned TikTok. I want to talk about social media. Facebook, WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, you name them. I only have Facebook and WhatsApp. But
why do you have Facebook? You're too young for that.
Facebook is still a thing. So, talking about these social media platforms, social media apps, I came across a story, I think it was Reuters or BBC, I could be wrong, it was Reuters or BBC, where two young girls were talking about their experience of using Instagram and TikTok. And they expressed that they went into depression and they just felt less than because of Instagram. And for the life of me, I was like, what are you talking about? It's just Instagram. And after listening to the stories and looking at the images and everything, these young girls, they were actually following the Instagram pages of celebrities, top shop people who dress nice, look nice, eat nice, walk nice, everything nice,
This is my self-esteem all the time.
Self-esteem. And so you're like, the young girls are like, why can't I look like that?
Because I don't have millions of dollars.
Why can't I be like that? And they just felt terrible. And so one of them, ended up having suicidal thoughts, because they were like, well, if I can't be like her, I can't be. Yeah. Have you came across any instances like these before?
Of course, I think this is a norm. And if I always say to look at ourselves first in terms of if it's happening to me, then it's happening to someone else. And even sometimes you take up your phone and you go on Facebook and you see your past classmate or somebody on Facebook, and most persons on Facebook, they only, or social media, let me not say Facebook, and be discriminate against Facebook, but social media, they put out the happiest times of their life, so celebrations, and looking at it, you're like, oh gosh, how can I can't have such good times too? And so it can in terms of mess with your thinking, your thought processes, and thoughts drive your feelings, which drives your behavior in that triangle in terms of on the counseling or the psychology side of it. So we know exactly how just looking at something can really send us on a spiral in terms of depression and that type of thing. So yes, the time.
I'm really happy you spoke to that, because I think that is something that we are facing every day. Again, social media. So people would put over there the good part of their life. I mean, you don't expect them to go on Facebook and say that they are in debt or things
some people
are
do,
bad.
but yes.
Some people do, but the majority, a whole different life, or maybe a life that never really exists, is portrayed on social media. And what these girls were saying was that, while they were happy to see all of this, they wanted to be like that, but they did not have the means. And so went into depression, suicidal thoughts, and...
Out of curiosity, do you remember how old they were?
They were 16, 17.
Yeah. And it's even harder when you're younger.
Wow.
And that's why I get into so much trouble with this. But you really want to limit your time on social media, because you are comparing the best parts of people's lives with the worst parts of yours.
Wow.
That's what is happening, right? Because you are looking at them and you say, that house looks so nice. Or their nails look so lovely, or this, but they only posted it because they just did their nails,
right,
and they just cleaned their house.
Right.
That's just how it is, right? And with young people, it is especially, it happens to adults, big hardback people all the time. I mean, we all keep up with the Joneses. Christmas time, when the neighbors change a curtain, we want to change our curtains too. But it is now happening on a scale that we can't even imagine. So 20 years ago, 16-year-olds weren't exposed to the possibility. When you think about how easy it is for people to get things from Amazon, to have birthday celebrations that cost thousands, the photo backdrop, the balloon arch, the name, these things. And when you're young, you don't yet have the capacity to make sense that that's one reality and this is my reality. So I really do encourage parents to be mindful of how much time your children are spending on social media. But a big part of that is, as a parent, you too have to cut down your time on social media, because if you are on your phone, they're going to be on their phone. So, yes. I mean, nobody likes to hear that.
Right.
Nobody likes to hear that, but yes. Children, I mean, preteen girls are especially susceptible to suicidal, well, maybe not. Suicidal is extreme, but definitely negative thoughts about themselves and their bodies because of the images that are being portrayed on TikTok, on Instagram. We are seeing perfection
by an app.
Right.
Yes. A filter on top of a filter on top of a filter, and then we look at our face in our regular and we say, oh gosh, what's this?
Would you say it's just social media where this happens?
No, it's not just social media, and I think even without social media, just in our everyday life, it happens in terms of you comparing yourself to others. And I was having the conversation someday with somebody, and I said, parenting is a very important job, and it's a concept, or it's something that some persons we don't like to openly speak about, because we don't want to persons feel like we are judging what it is that they're doing, because we all know that we are doing the best that we can in terms of what we have and what we know. But I really do think that it's a science, and we need to be, as parents, and parents don't mean that you have to have a child to be a parent, but as adults on a whole, the concept of parenting and being a community, we have to be more mindful in terms of how it is that we are rearing our children and the things that we are allowing them to look at and what it is that we are allowing them to do.
I tell people this all the time. We can't expect young people to change if we are not changing.
Wow. I agree with you.
And the nature of their developmental stage is that they really need structure, and they really need guidance. And I often tell parents the work doesn't begin when they become adolescents. As a matter of fact, it might be just a little, I mean, it might be late, because the work begins when they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is when you put in the most of the work, because if you do the most of the work on the front end, then it becomes smoother on the back end of things.
Self-esteem. People, I think, have the notion that self-esteem is just for people like me who are in our 20s and people in the teens and so. Do you think older people struggle with their self-esteem?
Yes. Yes, self-esteem. And remember, self-esteem doesn't come on its own. Self-worth, self-esteem and self-worth, and just the whole concept of the self. Yes. All through the spectrum, yes, everybody.
Definitely. It's, as you say, it's a lifespan endeavor. There's a lot of research now talking about self-compassion, and the idea is that self-esteem is just for a time, but what we need to be practicing all the time is being good to ourselves, because a lot of times we speak so negatively. So, someone is so stupid on the radio, how many mistakes I made, or look how this dress ain't fitting me nice, see what ugly I look. Like, we are constantly saying tough and negative things to ourselves as though the expectation is that we're going to be perfect. Perfection is not the goal. And if we can actually acknowledge that, you know, I made an effort, I
Right.
showed up, I did this. And I mean, I will say on the flip side, there is this whole other movement with, I'm good enough, I am perfect, even without doing anything. And I do think we need to encourage effort. We want people to try and put forward and have goals and want something, but not just show up. And I mean, so we have both a highly critical culture and a, oh, don't criticize anybody. Everyone is good, leave them alone. But we want people to put in an effort. That is what is going to make us, and then we have to be kind to ourselves and each other.
Seeking connection. That's it, right?
Yes.
Seeking connection.
Not looking attention.
Not looking at attention. Seeking connection. Have you ever come across a situation where someone is falsely seeking attention? Is that a thing? Is that possible for you to falsely seek attention? I don't even know how to. I mean, I can't respond to that.
I don't think so. I mean,
Yeah.
when someone does something that you find irritating or annoying or extra, that person really is looking for someone in their life. And they don't know how to do it in a way that is just open and vulnerable and just saying, you know, Zara, I'm having a really hard time and I just don't know what to do. I don't know how I feel. And sometimes the only way we can get people in our life is if we're in crisis.
Yes.
Wow.
If we go all the way, if we're all the way extra, and that's because we think that's the only time someone's going to show up. Because no one's going to notice when I haven't responded to my messages in a while. No one's going to notice when I'm not posting as much. No one's going to notice that I'm not coming out as much. People don't notice that, but people might notice if I put up a 4-minute story on Instagram complaining about something. That's when I'm going to get some reactions.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's fake. It might sometimes feel a lot, but they're looking for something from someone and they don't have the skill or wherewithal to be that vulnerable to actually seek it out directly from a trusted, meaningful source.
Yes.
You know, I'm really happy again that we're having this conversation. It's let me say refreshing, and thank you so much for sharing this information with members of the public. Because again, I do believe that people, they don't see it as important and they try to shy away from the conversation. As we're continuing, what about people, we were talking about people who may say, I'm fine, I'm good. You know, they completely ignore the signs that something is not right with their mental health. But they want to be strong. Perhaps because at their workplace, they're the senior person. Or perhaps in school, they're seen as the student in charge, the president. Or perhaps in society, they are seen as the head. So how do you deal with people who, as we spoke about earlier, may want to put on a mask to hide what's really going on just to suit their quote-unquote position in society? What is your feedback on that one?
I thought Tracy was going to talk. It's hard, right? It is hard.
It is.
We expect everyone to be everyone expects us to be perfect all the time.
Right.
We have to be in a good mood. We have to be pleasant. Our hair has to be done properly. The clothes have to look perfect. And I just want to acknowledge the weight that so many of us carry to appear to have it all together. It's not easy, it's not fair. And again, in terms of the compassion we have for people, so when you tell somebody, oh, you look tired, or when last you do your hair, how come you don't go barber anymore? Give people a little space.
Or Kittish greeting, you look fat, eh?
That's a popular one.
Oh my gosh. I mean, so just generally, I would encourage us as a society to be a little kinder to each other, because you don't know how those things are impacting people. When you say you look fatter and the person has been walking every day for the last 2 months, and they say, well, better stop walk. They finally cut back on getting the pizza on the Friday. They say, better. So we really don't know. We really don't know. But I would also encourage people to find someone you can talk to. There is someone, there must be someone. And this is also, I encourage people to try and nurture healthy relationships in your life. Sometimes people are just friends with people because they know them long time, but y'all are not actually friends. And you have to really think about, how am I spending my energy? Am I spending my energy pretending to be friends with somebody, or could I be actually making a genuine relationship that feels good and reciprocal, where both of us are exchanging? So sometimes we're friends with people just because we think they have the right connection. What you said? The nice name, the nice house, the nice strands.
And even the concept now in terms of social media and Facebook, in terms of you have friends on Facebook, but the friends in the virtual world is completely different to the friends that we know in terms of the real world. So there is this disconnect between virtuality and reality in terms of friendship and relationship and that aspect of it. So it I would say years ago it was really easier in terms of living. Because in St. Kitts, you probably get a little nickname, a AKA, and you move on from that. But then now it is like so many things you have to contend with and deal with. And even as a counselor, if I'm going to self-reflect, people expect you to be perfect in terms of how you do things and what it is that you say. So they always think that an answer is supposed to be a well-informed answer. And sometimes when, you're just being you and you give a thing answer and it's like the judgment and you see the steering and, oh, she said that kind of way. And so you tend to try and live a life that, and you don't want to. You understand?
So we feel it too.
Yes,
we feel it too. Yes. But we really do encourage. I do think, like, as a people, we can make efforts to make that lighter for people.
Yes.
But it takes a shift.
Happy you spoke about that. I remember one time I attended this ceremony. It was for nurses in Nevis. And some of the comments echoed at the ceremony was, the hard work that nurses have to do on a daily basis. And sometimes most of the work, it's done by them.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it surrounded the theme that they were celebrating under for Nurses Week. I don't remember the theme, but it was along the lines of, when nurses are out there caring for you and you and you and you, who are caring for them? So for mental health professionals, who are caring for you? I want to put you on the spot.
We care for each other. We care for each other. We are closely knit in terms of persons that we actually could reach out to when it is that we are struggling. And, it's recommended that a counselor has a counselor. So
right.
There is that aspect of it. And I guess for us, because we all working together. Your friends are counselors, so you are able to unwind and say certain things and
Right.
get that little motivation and little. There are persons that you can reach out to. As a matter of fact, we probably know everybody you could reach out to in that aspect of it. So yes,
we definitely do our best to support each other. I mean, obviously some connections are going to be stronger than others. Just like I said, not everybody is the right fit. But
Right.
we might be reaching out. Maybe we are seeking some support in cases. Maybe we are seeking some professional support. Or maybe we just have an idea and we want to toss it around.
Right.
Sometimes there was a time where we were doing supervision practices where we would talk about a case professionally and look at all the dimensions just to kind of keep us abreast of everything. But definitely anyone who is in the mental health field, it is so important that you take care of yourself and you have good boundaries. St. Kitts is tiny. When I speak to my friends who work in North America, they never see their clients anywhere.
Wow.
That one time they saw when they see them once a week in their office, that is it.
That's it.
And I said, how nice.
it's tricky.
I mean,
practicing in a small community is very tricky because of the fact that we basically know everybody in St. Kitts.
Or we think we know them.
We think we know them. Or even if I don't know you, I know somebody who knows you.
I've seen you before, yeah.
That kind of way. And
I've never seen you before, but
well, now you have.
And then human nature comes into
Right.
play too, in terms that, okay, I told Zara something, and then I see Zara speaking to a person who I know, but Zara probably don't know that I know the person, and then your mind start going wild in terms of, okay. And so that aspect comes into play. But I'm so happy you've never seen me before. So.
I think that's a problem. Not a problem. That's a big thing. I think sometimes people freak out when I could be wrong. Like you're sitting down with your guidance counselor or your counselor, and you opened up to them, and then 2 weeks later, you're probably at the store just doing a normal thing, and you bump into your guidance counselor. I think sometimes people feel kind of weird. It's like an awkward feeling. Have you ever seen any of your clients in
everywhere? But
Yeah.
I mean, some people are so different, right? Some people, you could see them ducking and weaving like they don't want you to see them. But other people, I mean, I find younger people especially, Miss Jacobs, that's my therapist, That's my therapist.
I guess the age group makes a difference.
Yeah. Okay.
The age group makes a big difference. But I remember my mother saying when my mom is from Trinidad, and when she moved to St. Kitts, she was a teacher, and she went to the beach and she saw some of her students, and she said, "Oh my gosh, the thought." But in St. Kitts, you see everybody, right?
Yeah.
When you go to the beach, you'll see everybody. But she came from a place where you would never bounce up on that. And I must say, I don't think I've ever seen anyone at the beach.
It's 8 minutes past the hour of 1. We'll take a break to acknowledge the sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Let's take this break, and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
People make the world go
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Buying your medication is easy with City Drug Store's curbside pickup. WhatsApp our certified pharmacist at 662-8769 with your requests. For prescriptions, take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drug Store's curbside pickup service.
WinFM reserves the right to disconnect any caller who infringes the law or offends the right of any person. The station will also refuse to take any call from any person who, in WinFM's considered opinion, is likely to expose the station to liability for statements made on the air.
People make the world go.
Welcome back to Inside the News on 1FM 98.9. It is 11 minutes past the hour of 1 and we are winding down. We'll end this program at 1:30 p.m. For those of you who are just tuning in, my name is Devon Cornelius and I'm here with Zara Jacobs and Tracy Watley, and both of them are members of the St. Kitts Mental Health Association. And the theme for this year's celebration of Mental Health Week and World Mental Health Day is Mental Health for All. Let's make it a reality. I see that we have some callers, so we're going to head to the phone lines to take some calls and we'll continue the conversation. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Let's take this other call. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air. Okay, there's a dead silence. Okay, we're taking calls at 466-0989, 762-0989, and 662-0989. Now, we have been here since 11 o'clock and we're talking about, we did a whole run through of different topics in mental health and different areas. Okay, we have a caller. Let's head back to the phone lines quickly. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air. Hello, good afternoon. Okay, I'm not hearing this caller. I apologize for that inconvenience, but let's continue. So, we had Mental Health Week. We celebrated Mental Health Day, World Mental Health Day, on October 10th. Can you say, or can you tell us about some of the activities, some of the things that were done to celebrate this year's Mental Health Week or World Mental Health Day? Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. We started on Sunday opening. We went to the Pentecostal Church of God in Sadlers and we worshipped with them. Our treasurer, Mrs. Blake, said a few words as part of the service. We have been on radio nonstop. I'm so excited that we have managed to make so many spots throughout the week. One of the things that we did this year is we got a mural commissioned at JNF. So we really do encourage people to go and check it out. So it's on the main road, so you don't actually have to go into the hospital. And it's on the steps leading up. So we encourage people to take a look at it. It is beautiful. Our Vice President, Jamila O'Connor, was the one who had the idea. She was new to the association and she was like, why don't we do this? And I didn't think it would be so easy to do. And it really came together pretty nicely. So you can check out our logo, which was designed by Tamara O'Flaherty. And there's a lovely handprint. And it says, you know, you are not alone. And there are handprints of all of the members of the executive there, and we really want to encourage people and everyone to really reach out to people who are struggling and pay attention to people in your lives. So, as I said, we've been on radio. On Friday, we also did care packages for the patients at the psychiatric ward at JNF. We used to do a meal and treat, but because of COVID, we're really trying to limit those sorts of things. So we did care packages, and we delivered those on Friday as well. We encouraged people. We had a Facebook profile banner that we encouraged people to change to celebrate for the week. Really just trying to get people to think about mental health, remember mental health, and not be afraid to talk about mental health.
Thank you so much, Ms. Watley. Want to add anything to?
I think Zara forgot to mention there in this square there. I think this
Oh,
square
yes.
is today.
Oh, this morning, yes. Oh my gosh. And I just came from there. We were with Essence of Hope in Independence Square conducting mental health screenings. And we were very proud of ourselves because we were going paperless. So the screenings were done all using phones, and we had a QRC code for our brochures. But today was a pretty quiet day in town. So
it was.
Yes, so we really do encourage people to check out our Facebook page. Our PRO, Shanice Sam, is really active about posting material for people who are looking for information on depression, anxiety, and just generally where to get help.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Ms. Jacobs. It is 16 minutes past the hour of 1. We're winding down. I don't have much questions left. I think we have touched on every possible topic. I'm searching my mind. So.
Well, generally, I will say we do encourage people when it comes to mental health. So we have a little slogan. So it's mental health paves the way to good health. So it's PAVES.
Mm-hmm.
And the P is to be physical and eat well. It was a stretch with the P, I know. So to be physical and eat well. We want to also encourage people to aspire.
Mm-hmm.
A big part of mental health is having something that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just being where you are, sometimes, Tracy and I were speaking about this earlier, sometimes the stagnation in life is actually what is frustrating us. So you have to think about, what is it I want to do? What is it I feel like doing? What is it I think I would be good at? And start moving towards that. The V is for volunteer. We want people, everyone says, I'm so tired, I can't do this, I can't do that. But there are ways, and it doesn't have to be with a professional organization, but just do something for someone else. Let's not just live for our very small circles. What can I do for someone? Is there something that I'm not saying you have to give away all your money, but how can I be of service to someone? Can I babysit my friend's child for a little bit so they can do something? Can I go on a walk with a family friend? Can I go and visit an older relative and help them with something in their home? How can I volunteer? The E is for empathize. And I know I've been talking about it all the time. Let's be kind. I'm not saying you have to pick up everybody's burden, but give people some time to talk and listen. And the S is savor. We have so much to be thankful for. I know it's much easier to list off all the things we don't have, but we have so much. We have a lovely view when we walk outside. I mean, it is so hot today, but we are thankful to have Fuse. We have so many things that we can be thankful for, and I really want us to encourage to think about those things when it comes to our mental health. Let's get moving. Let's eat properly. Have some goals. Reach for them. We want to volunteer, do things for other people. Be kind and empathize, and really savor and express gratitude for all that we have.
I found it. So this last question, we can touch on to wrap up. So I think it might tie into what we spoke about earlier, but knowing someone or knowing people for years. You went to preschool, primary school, secondary school with them, or with these people, and you don't know them, or they don't know you. You spoke about earlier, Ms. Jacobs, finding someone to talk to, finding someone that would be able to listen to you. How do you do that if the people that you think you know, you don't know, or the people that you think know you, they don't? What is your comment on that?
Devon is going philosophical. I'll let you take it, Tracy.
Okay. Again, I guess it ties into why is it that we are here at this point now in terms of getting ourselves out there. And I think it's really important to that those of us who are in mental health and put ourselves out there. So it gives, plus people need to know where to go for help and what does help looks like and that type of thing. So education is important in terms of that aspect of it. That's just one of the things I really, really believe in terms of that aspect of finding somebody who you know, again, who is trained to speak to. Okay, we know, well, just even thinking about it, probably you could just call a school and say, you know what, can I speak with the counselor at the school? And then the counselor would be able to refer you or get you an appointment with somebody at the counseling center or somebody at the hospital in terms of what it is that we said. Zara did said you can go to your general practitioner and he too can advise you in terms of how do you go forward from there. Speak with your pastor, a church member. I think those are persons also who are equipped in terms of getting you the help that you need. Call the police station. They too will be able to find you help. And I think it's just as those type of things in terms of reaching out. So we play our part in everybody in terms of putting it out there as to where to get help, what does help look like, because Zara and I was having this conversation in terms of culture, in terms of not everybody who puts themselves out there as persons who can help are really trained to help, and that's a ticklish part because
I mean, in our training, we're looking for certain signs and symptoms that might require something else. So we really want people to be very careful, because sometimes your level of crisis needs a very specialized sort of support, and you need someone who can recognize that is happening. Because we want everyone to be safe and well cared for as much as possible.
It's 23 minutes past the hour of 1, so we're winding down. My last question, which is very much tied to what you just spoke about. How can you tell when people care? Yeah. How do you determine that? You know, so again, back to what we were talking about. You've known them for years, or they've known you for years, but they don't care. So how do you? What are the signs? Or how I don't even know.
That's interesting to me, because often when people talk about, oh, this person don't care, I find what people associate with caring is money and always being there, like being able to read your mind. And this is the thing.
Yeah.
If you don't know yourself, well, the money thing is a whole other thing. But if you don't know yourself and what you want and how to ask for it, or you can only ask for money, you can't expect other people to know what it is you need. And that's a big part of the challenge with care. When people say, oh, nobody cares, outside of the money thing, often it's that we ourselves don't have the emotional language or wherewithal to figure out, what is it I'm actually feeling? What is it I'm actually going through? What is my challenge? And we want it to come from someone else. And that way, when it's not good enough, we can complain and say, oh, they don't care. But the money piece is, I think somehow we have created a thing where if someone gives us something, that means they care for us. Or they bought me lunch. Or they bring the money somehow we've managed to conflate money with care. And it is actually incredibly detrimental for us, because as we develop not just our family relationships, our romantic relationships are tinged with this idea that unless money is there, that means the person...
Not so much even money alone, but tangible.
Yes.
Or the things that money can buy.
Yes.
Those type of things. And that's... You may think it's a simple question, but it's really loaded in terms of how to answer it. So that is why we were going back and forth, because then we can even start thinking about too, well, exactly what it is that persons are missing in their lives, and probably what would have happened during their
early
childhood in terms of attachment. And so it's not as simple as it is. There's obviously the concept of care. What is care for you?
Yeah, and as I said, a big part of it, I think, is when we say people don't care, we're missing something and we haven't yet figured out what it is, and we want someone else to fill that in. And that is some work that you yourself might need to do to figure out how can I also just care for myself. And
wow, it's 27 minutes past. We're finished. Very good discussion today. Very, very good discussion. I feel that we touched every possible topic and question and all these questions that I had. I think we had some persons trying to get in. I sincerely apologize for that. There was a technical difficulty. But thank you. Thank you so much for coming here today to have this conversation, which I think is, let me not just say timely, but necessary. You know, saying timely mean that I have it now and then never again. But I think it's necessary because people genuinely need it. So thank you, and I hope to see you back in the near future so that we can have part 2.
And so you can find some more questions, give you some time. But thank you so much, Devon. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate WinFM's ongoing effort to support conversations around mental health.
You're welcome.
So we really appreciate it.
And thank you again so much.
It was a pleasure.
This has been Inside the News on WinFM 98.9. For those of you who tuned in late, we have in the studios the St. Kitts Mental Health Association, which is being represented by Zara Jacobs and Tracy Watley. The conversation was centered around mental health. Let's make it a reality. Thank you guys so much, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Have a good one. So see you guys next week as we continue our programs here on 1FM 98.9. Stay tuned. We have much more in store for you today. Until next time, I've been your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Remember to wear your mask, wash your hands, wear your seatbelt when you're driving, stay safe on the road, and give thanks for life most importantly. You guys have a good one.
Protect yourself from the novel coronavirus. Wash your hands thoroughly and frequently for at least 20 seconds each time. Avoid shaking hands and